Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the April 17th, 2013 Agenda Review meeting. We're going to begin with the intermediate unit, if we can, Pittsburgh Mount Oliver Intermediate Unit, and go through both sections. So if you want to join us at the, or you have a microphone there? Okay.
Would you like me to do a little summary?
Yes, please.
Okay. So under, for the Committee on Education, under payments authorized, we're requesting that 2 of our staff members work up to an additional 15 days if need be to finish reports and make adjustments and do scheduling for the following year. Under general authorization, it's to accept the Title I amendment. That's in regard to number 15 with, it's the partner with number 15 for the district's Title I. And that's because of the adjustment, the 5% decrease of Title I funds. And then for the Committee on Business, it's our daily payments. And then the 2 general authorizations are our annual contracts with Harris School Solutions, which is ProSoft. It's the software we use to run our IU. And then our depositories, just the normal ones, banks that we work with. And that's briefly it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Baer. Are there any questions or comments from board members on Committee on Education or the Committee on Business for the Pittsburgh Mount Oliver Intermediate Unit? Mr. Eisler.
Thank you, Mr. Sumter. And Ms. Baer, the 5% cut in Title I is a result of the sequestration?
Yes.
So children are now beginning to suffer?
Yes.
And when we go into the school district's items, and you reference 15, it refers to IU3. Do we have a cooperative agreement with them on some of these services?
You do, and that's for the students who live in the city but attend non-public schools in Allegheny County.
I usually ask you the same question because it's dealing with non-public school students. So it's the public, state, and federal money that we have to distribute to the non-public schools, whether they are in the city or whether the children go to within the IU3, and that's where the cooperative agreement comes from, right?
Correct.
But the 5% has affected public education.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sumter.
You're welcome, Mr. Eisler. Any other comments or questions from board members? Seeing none, thank you very much, Ms. Baer. We're going to move on to the Committee on Education for the Pittsburgh Public School District. There are no proposals or grant awards this month. There's one item under Consultants and Contracted Services, and that's the Center for Assessment. Dr. Lippard, quick explanation.
Sure. Actually, in this section, you have a orange folder in front of you. We actually have 2 additional consultant tabs. Those would be the 2 pink ones. Both of these tabs are actually supporting our Take Your Father to School Day initiative that is scheduled for Friday, May 17th. The first item, well, I'll let you get those first. 1A is for Brandon Phillips, and 1B is for M. Hubbard L. And in this section, so total we actually have 3 pink tabs, if everybody is organized with me. The Center for Assessment is a contract asking the board's approval for us to contract with the Center for Assessment to support our development of our teacher evaluation system, specifically for teachers that do not have a value-added measure, for us to work with the center to develop what we call student learning objectives. And then again, I highlighted the other 2, which are Take Your Father to School Day consultants. Would you like me to continue, or we'll just stick in that section?
We'll very quickly go through that section. Counterclockwise motion. Mrs. Fink, do you have any questions on that section? Mr. Brentley, any questions? We're on payments authorized. Or no, I'm sorry, consultants and contracted services.
Okay, including forward? Yes.
2 pink sheets in the orange and 1 that we got with our packet.
No, No, I have something to share from the items, but I'll share that next week, so.
Okay. Dr. Holly?
Yes. The Center for Assessment, exactly what teachers are they going to work with?
So they're not going to work directly with teachers. They would actually be supporting our capacity and center office, working with the RISE school-based leadership teams, which I guess do have teachers on them. But essentially, the teachers that this work focuses on are teachers that do not have a value-added measure. And so these are the teachers, we have about 60% of our teachers to 70% that do not have the value-added measure. And so this is for teachers who currently right now will be evaluated with the 30% of student growth based on our 3F, which is student learning over time.
So can you give us an idea of how that will actually work?
Essentially,
Oh, sorry.
it's okay. It's the background, you can't hear yourself talk. Essentially, it's going to take us about a year and a half to actually launch the SLOs. The Pennsylvania Department of Education wants schools to have full implementation 2014, 2015. But essentially, it's very similar to writing a professional growth plan. Essentially, what a teacher will do based on samples provided. And this is for all non-tested grades and subjects, so grades like K1 and 2, some of our related arts classes, phys ed, arts, music, CTE, world language, ESL. They would actually take the state standards, the district standards, the district's curriculum, the Common Core state standards, and actually write learning objectives for their students throughout the year. And they go through a planning process around what is the objective you're going to measure, how are you going to measure it, what's your progress monitoring, what are the artifacts. So it could be things like pre-assessments, project-based things, argumentative writing pieces that would be scored against a rubric. So it is an enormous amount of work, and on top of that, we're going to be working with the Center for Assessment to make policy-level decisions, such as how many SLOs would a teacher have to submit. In high school, for example, if you teach 6 sections and they're all different sections of art, are you doing one for each class, or is it sufficient to do 2 of your classes? So those are the types of things that we have to wrestle with, as well as making sure that you have reliability in terms of rigor across all of our teachers in terms of what they're developing, as well as supporting principals and being able to evaluate them. So it is a pretty large undertaking, but it is quite positive. We've already had this work started. Dr. Hawley was actually a principal during our pilot years of RISE when we developed 3F, but we really didn't build out 3F, and principals and teachers worked together to figure out what artifacts are they using to assess learning throughout the year. This is just taking it to another level.
Will the PFT be involved in this as well?
Absolutely.
On the pink, I guess I should ask Mr. Brentley. Mr. Brentley, did you have any, did you select these individuals to work on this project with you?
Yes, you're talking about the Take a Father School. Yes, actually, they were responsible for all the success that we've had over the last 5 years. They worked with the program. It is their database and their approach to getting the fathers out. So yes, they're tops in their field, and so yes, we recommended them.
Thank you.
For a short period. Thank you.
Ms. Azuda?
To piggyback on that, on these walk-ons, what is their field? They're tops in their field. Yeah,
Oh, they were.
you said they're tops in their field. I'm questioning
Yes,
you. What's their
yes, they were
field?
tops in their field in getting men here in the here in the district with the Take a Father to School Day. They were former employees, and they worked very closely with us over the years to get the men out and get them involved in the
They're both
program.
former employees of the
Yes,
district?
yes.
Was this posted, or,
No, it was not. I don't believe so, no. This is-
okay.
this is
So
for
you
a
just
short
hired
period.
them as consultants?
Yeah, they're not hired, but they're here as consultants. They're not employees of the district.
And they'll be paid $185 a day plus mileage and parking?
That is my understanding. That was something that they negotiated with the folks from Hines.
they negotiated with Heinz?
Yes.
Okay. This is, I mean, this is the first we're getting this, so I wasn't sure.
Well, I mentioned it 3 months ago, and I gave details at the legislative meeting about a meeting that I had with Mr. Bobby Vaught, and I thought I was pretty clear as to what we were attempting to do. I also shared some of the activities that we were planning on doing this year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sumter.
You're welcome, Mrs. Zuda. Mr. Eisler?
Thank you, Mr. Sumter. Mr. Brantley, again, I mean, I said this to you at the legislative meeting, this is your 15th year for doing it. You're being commended for securing this money. I'm just wondering, is this a one-year grant?
I wish it was. It is my understanding it will take us, I think, for 4 months. So
Okay,
we are squeezing and trying to get everything out of them as possible.
And that's where I want to get, because I think this is interesting, and again, we probably didn't pay attention to this and some of the detail of the work that you do, because they were employees before and it was
Right.
part of their workload. So roughly, we have them for 60 or 70 days, right?
That sounds right.
I mean, and again, we're going to say that to take your father to school day, and you need to give us a date?
I'm sorry.
You need to give us the date.
The date is, we got 2 dates, actually. We got 17th is the actual event throughout the school district, and this year, the following Saturday, the 19th, we've partnered with the Pittsburgh Public Schools, and I've also been informed that we already have it on our website. So those who, and thank you, Dr. Lane, or whoever has posted it, the actual picture with the Pirate Parrot, and on Sunday the 19th, we'll be there with the Pirates at the game, and we're going to, bottom of the third inning, will be recognized.
What I really want to concentrate on is, because, we need to let people know as many times as possible.
Oh, I
It
agree.
is the 17th, right?
Yes, May
That's the day.
17th is the actual
And
date.
then, again, this is a fair question, and we ask this of staff all the time, and it's not really fair to ask it to a fellow board member, but what if we don't get this funding next year? Does it make a difference?
It makes a huge difference.
Okay,
Yes, it makes a huge difference, and I will be out begging again and trying to convince my colleagues the importance of having someone with this capacity here providing those services of getting the men out. So I don't know. I would like to say that I think I made a friend, Mr. Bobby Vaught, with the Heinz, who's been very, very nice to help us and bring us to this point. And so who knows, by this time next year, maybe we'll meet some new friends who would consider bringing us forward. But I think there's no argument as to the benefit of what we're getting out of it. So,
thank you, Mr. Brantley, thank you, Mr. Sumter.
You're welcome, Mr. Eisler. We're going to move on to the next section, which is payments authorized. And there are 3 items, 2013 Summer Kindergarten Readiness Program, 2013 Early Childhood Policy Council and Parent Involvement Committee events, and the AP program. Dr. Lippert, any explanation necessary?
I do have in this section as well, back into your orange folder, I do apologize. There is one addition. It's also related to the 2 items we were just talking about. It is a payments authorized for Take Your Father to School Day activities. So that's just an addition. It's 4A. The first item in that section is our early childhood summer program, just asking for payments of providers. Number 3 is an annual tab that is our early childhood end of the year parent and policy council involvement activities. And then item number 4 is the AP program. It's another annual tab requesting the board to authorize payment for students taking exams across our secondary schools.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lippert. We'll start the questioning with Mr. Brantley.
questions?
Thank you. Dr. Hawley?
Yes. Where will, when will these, the number 2, the Summer Kindergarten Readiness Program, where will it take place?
We actually have 5 designated program sites: Children's Museum, Peabody, PCA, which is Pittsburgh Classical Academy over in Greenway, the Frick Building, and also University Prep at Malines.
So the east, the children that will be coming from the east, they'll have to go to Peabody.
Yes.
Was there any consideration about, okay, here I go with another site. Was there any consideration in having a site also at, in Homewood? Because the children that are going to the Peabody site, they tend to live around in that area. It's a little bit difficult for the parents to get their children there from further into the east end, such as Homewood. Deep down in the Homewood, it's a little bit more.
Carol Barone-Martin, Executive Director for Early Childhood Education. We looked at buildings that would be cool in the summertime, as well as the ones that were not having any work done in the summertime. So that's how Peabody landed, because it's cool there, and unlike Crescent, which is quite warm in the summertime.
Okay, I'm just concerned that the students, the parents aren't going to be, in a very needy neighborhood, the parents aren't going to be able to get to that site. There's no direct bus line to take them from Homewood to Peabody. So we're going to be missing a lot of students that really need some support. Maybe we can partner with the Homewood Children's Village and see if they have another site that has some air conditioning in it that can service those children in that neighborhood. But I know that unless they can catch a jitney or something, and that's not going to happen, to get those children there. And we already have a Ready Freddie program at Faison. Is Ready Freddie going to be a part of this as well?
The Ready Freddie program is just planning their summer schedule, and they were looking at any locations. Faison is one of their targeted schools. If Faison is available this summer, it's not having work done, they will do it at Faison.
How about the north side? Do we have any place? The children's, okay. And so how many slots will that hold at the Children's Museum?
We have 37 spaces at the Children's Museum. We were only funded to do 5 classrooms. Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot of need, but we really could only do 5. So we had to pick, 5 locations throughout the city.
Okay. It's just heartbreaking that, this is a really important program to have our pre-kindergarten students have some services during the summer. I commend you for getting the 5 classrooms, but I still would like to have more. Another site closer into the north side, maybe King, for the children that are in Spring Garden, Spring Hill. We have a site up there. Is that air conditioned? No.
The early childhood classrooms are at Spring Garden, and it's not air conditioned.
It's not air conditioned either. Just really trying to get as many classrooms as we can possibly get. I know it's funding, but it's no harm in asking. Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Azuda?
Thank you, Mr. Sumter. Back to, I don't see Mrs. Burgess, so I guess I'm going back to Mr. Brentley. Oh, you are there? So do I ask questions of, see, I can't see in here. Do I ask questions of you? I know we heard May 17th is the Pirate game. Who's going to the Pirate game? May 19th is the Pirate game. Who's going to the Pirate game?
So we have we will be given, should we say, all of our schools, 6 tickets per school, along with the bands who attended the proclamation. They will receive 2 tickets each, and the small cohort that serves on the advisory committee will receive 2 tickets each also. The 2 is so that the adult can also have a child with them.
So it'll be done as a drawing?
Well, we're going to leave that up to the principal of the school.
Okay. How many did attend the City Council proclamation?
76.
76. Oh, that's good. That's up from last year then, so that's good. KQV Radio, how were they Are we advertising anywhere else, or how were they selected?
I'm going to direct that to Mr. Brentley.
Yes, that is an opportunity in 2 months. And I don't want to let the cat out the bag, but I'll just give you a general idea. We're going to be focusing on what I'm referring to Pittsburgh Public Schools First Families. And each month in, I believe it's May, we will focus on 4 families in the Pittsburgh Public Schools where they will be interviewed. And I haven't shared this yet with staff, but hope we can coordinate it. They'll be interviewed, and we'll have their profile picture on our website where we can refer folks to the website to actually see the picture with a short bio of the family. These are families that spend a lot of time in the district, that volunteer, and 1 or 2 will also be members of the
So you've
Take
made
Full School.
arrangements with this, with KQV, without discussing with our staff?
No. That is...
Am I misunderstanding?
No. That is separate money. That money is dealing with the Take a Father to School grant that I received last year.
Are we paying for the families too?
You're not paying for the family, Sherry. We're paying for the airtime to produce and to put this show on the air.
And I guess maybe I'm ultra-sensitive because of the problems now going on with the City of Pittsburgh Public Safety Division.
Okay.
That it not look like, because you work for KQV, that it not look like a conflict of interest or something. I guess I'd rather have it out so that it's not questionable later.
Sure. Well, I understand that. Well, first of all, it's important that we operate from facts. I do not work for KQV, period.
You have airtime weekly.
I have airtime on KQV. I receive $0 from KQV. I go on doors and knock on businesses' doors and ask if you would sponsor airtime to allow me to promote activities in the Pittsburgh Public Schools and the community at large. That started, and thank you, I might as well give you the whole story. That started from August of last year, where I had a pretty bad relationship with a local station, 50,000 watts, and these 2 individuals who spend time bashing the public schools. I made an attempt to ask if they would allow me to come on to tell the truth on what they were saying that wasn't true about the Pittsburgh Public Schools. I was denied the opportunity, and then I said, can I buy an hour worth that time on the radio station? They agreed. I went and hustled half of that money. And when it was time to go on the air and to be trained and get ready, they all of a sudden had a change in heart. And from that point on, I then went and shared my vision with the folks at KQV. They opened the doors. I didn't have the complete hour, but they were given a half an hour of a pre-recorded show that airs every Saturday, 9:30 a.m., 1410 KQV. So that's how that started.
So now I'm even more confused, because you're saying you went out and got money for this extra program, speaking on behalf of the Pittsburgh Public Schools without telling us.
That's me as an individual. I am not required.
But the minute you say, I'm a board of director for the Pittsburgh Public Schools and I want to defend them on air, you're
Yes, but
speaking, you're
not-
using the board name.
you
And
have...
perhaps I'm confused.
I agree with you, you are. The most important thing to remember that we are elected officials. I have a constituency base, and we have the right to do other things.
Absolutely, but when it comes to raising money, I mean, we have board tabs for somebody donating a winter coat.
Okay, but what,
If you're out raising money on behalf of the Pittsburgh Public Schools and it's not coming in front of this board,
no, this is equivalent to you as an employee, and if you decide to pick up an extra hobby or activity, when you walk in the door, some may see you and associate you with being a board member, but you have that authority and you have that right to do that. We as a board do not. That's you. That's what you do in your own time. This is what I do. This board, and I'm not required to tell you every step and every activity that I'm involved with. I can talk about the board often as I'd like, just like you can. Mine just happened to be, I love talk radio, and when I hear something that's not true, I pull over and I call in and say, can I get on the air and say what your shock jock just put out there was a lie? We do offer this. It's a lie. We can provide this. And that particular case, I wasn't allowed to do it. And so I thought it was important to still get out there and to have that opportunity. And remember, I talk about a variety of issues. I just happen to do the things that
I guess I'm not questioning your rights to speak your opinion on a radio program. My original question was the perception that 100% of the advertising budget is going to somebody that gives you free airtime. But
Not
now
free.
you raised the second thing,
Not free.
is it sounds to me that you are soliciting funds from the public for the benefit, in your opinion, the benefit of the Pittsburgh Public Schools, but the minute you bring the Pittsburgh Public Schools into it, it becomes a board issue. Mr. Weiss, am I missing something? Like you're listening to the two, am I missing something here?
As I understand it, Mr. Brentley solicits funds to pay for the airtime that he has on KQV. The money is not flowing to the Pittsburgh Public Schools, as I understand it.
That's correct.
I think he, as a citizen, has a right to go on the radio, and if he wants to solicit funds to pay for that, he can do that. If the money were flowing through the Pittsburgh Public Schools, or the contract with KQV was with the school district, I think that would be a different matter, but I think there's nothing to impede his ability to do this. I mean, he's an individual, he can get on the air and say what he wants.
Absolutely, but can he say, I mean, I'm making the assumption that when you're on the air, I have not listened to it, that you say you're a director for the Pittsburgh Public Schools and speak on behalf of the Pittsburgh Public Schools.
And if I say that, that would be a problem?
If you're using that program to, yes, if funds are being raised for you to go on air to speak as a board member of the Pittsburgh Public Schools Board of Directors, I think that should come before this board, because actually one of our, I don't know if it's not a policy, but one of the things says, well, never mind. I'll skip what I was just going to say. Okay. All right. That's my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Eisler?
Thanks, Mr. Sumter. Ms. Brown-Martin, just a couple things on the two early childhood items that I think are important. We're continuing, because I know I asked Ms. Baer because of sequestration and cuts, and some of this is Head Start money, and I understand it's supplemental, not necessarily out of the Head Start grant. But have we had to cut back in this program at all this year, or are you able to offer the children the same benefits this year that we did last year?
Over the last couple of years, we've cut back on some staff, but we've been able to offer the children the same benefits this year as last year. In next year, sequestration will affect the Head Start portion of the program.
In terms of our partners who we're working with, are they able to continue to provide the service even though they know that we have less?
The partners that are in this particular tab about the kindergarten readiness program have been able to continue to provide us with services. They've been longstanding partners and have continued to do everything they could, even with limited money.
Well, I, share Dr. Hawley's sentiments about how important this is. to our students and to our families. And in this area, I don't think we can ever do enough. So I congratulate you and the staff for being able to continue this program to the level we are, because I think it's really critical. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sumter.
You're welcome, Mr. Eisler. It's been said before that one board member cannot speak on behalf of the board, and the only time this board has any power is when we meet together as a body. One question, Mr. Weiss, on the item 4A, which is the, that's the one where we're, the breakdown of how the money's being spent for the Pirates, KQV, Walter Lewis, CPI Creative, Robert Glover, et cetera. Where we're authorizing payment for advertisement on KQV, does that present any problems or concerns?
My understanding that the payment to KQV on 4A is to promote Take a Father to School Day. It is not related to what we discussed a few minutes ago, so I don't see any problem with that.
Thank you very much. We're going to continue on at this point with the agenda. We're going to move into the, I'm sorry, thank you very much, Mr. Eisler. Ms. Fink? Okay, thank you. The next section, general authorization. There are 15 items in the section, of which 7 are new and 8 are amendments. Dr. Lippert, you want to share information with us on this section?
Yes, this is the last time I'm going to do this to you tonight. In your orange folder again, there's one additional new general authorization. We're numbering this 11A, so that the first 8 items, including 11A, are new general authorizations, and then as Mr. Sumter pointed out, the last 8 are amendments. In this section, the first 3, items 5, 6, and 7, support our ongoing efforts for the Common Core implementation, and we have several novels going into 3rd and 4th grade, and we also have two books. One, you know very well, The Pact. It was passed out to the board members, I believe, about 2 months ago. That's going to replace a 9th grade novel. And is a nonfiction, very inspiring book for our students. And we're also adding item number 6, an anthology. I only bring this to the board's attention because this is a local author. Some of you may remember Dr. Goodkin. His brother, Lee Goodkin, is the author, and this is a nonfiction anthology. So it's nice to have a local author. One of our other novels, this one right here, is also a local author that we'll be using. So it's nice to have some local authors for our students to read and study. Moving on, number 8 is supporting Alderdice. They have a club that supports their science Olympiad team, and they'll be traveling as a result of their great results. Number 9 is asking your approval for a Kaboom playground at Greenfield. Number 10, from our education committee meeting, is asking your approval and support for the environmental charter school renewal. And number 11 is from Mr. Rice around e-signature. He can explain that. And number 11, our walk-on, is for your approval of an Act 80 day. And then the amended items include some things to the Pittsburgh Online Academy, which next year will be our 2nd year, an amendment regarding our Common Core curriculum in mathematics, a slight revision to our K-8 math program, and then we have some Title I amendments that are related to Dr. Baer's packet in the IU, and a couple other ones that we can discuss.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lippert. I know it's not been mentioned, but it is helpful for those watching at home that if you're talking about an item, not just to refer to the number, but also mention the title of the number also, so that the folks viewing it can be assisted in that manner. We're going to begin the comments and questions with Dr. Holly.
Yes, I'm excited to see another school in our school district getting the Kaboom playground grant. This is a wonderful event to build community support for your school. We received this grant as well many years ago at Lincoln, and we had over 500 volunteers to actually put this put the playground at our school. I just want to know, did facilities look at the grounds where the playground is going to be held, where the
Yeah.
playground is going to be built?
Yes.
Oh, there you
Oh,
are.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Okay.
they were actively involved with the process.
Good. They were involved with our process as well, and they did a fabulous job. So I'm really happy to see this occur at another Pittsburgh Public School. This is a great event. I will be supporting the environmental charter school renewal. It is one of our better charter schools in the city. However, I am very concerned over the makeup of the school. It is not doing what it says it was going to do, but I can't deny that it is a good environment for children to learn. But is there any way that we can encourage them to have a better diversity number within that school? And I'm not concerned about the administrators, because I saw that came to us, that they did hire 3 administrators that were African-American in the school. However, 21% of the school is minority, even though I don't like using that word, but is identified as being minority. I am very concerned that they are not doing what they said they were going to do in terms of having diversity in that school. Is there something we can do about that, Mr. Weiss?
It is a difficult problem because the school's been operating for some time. They have sibling preference programs, which of course, to some degree, perpetuate the problem, as you can understand. We could certainly take every opportunity we can to encourage them to live up to the representations that they made when the charter was granted. But I would not sit here and tell you that we can, with any great certainty, guarantee that there'll be a significant change. We can certainly make it clear that it's of significant concern to the board, and we will monitor that and do the best we can, but that's about what we can do.
My concern is that this school does very well in terms of educating children. That's not the problem. I don't want to see other charter schools try to circumvent having a diverse population and opening up schools and communities where diversity is not cherished. And I'm not saying that they don't cherish it, but I'm very concerned that this may be a trend within the Pittsburgh community. So that's something that I think the board really has to have a look at and monitor that very closely.
Mrs. Azuda?
Just to piggyback to that thought, if we would somehow in the renewal head them towards having to have more diversity, would we then have to do that with all the charter schools?
I don't believe that that is a permissible condition of a charter. So the answer is that I don't believe you can impose that condition.
No, but if you're even saying like to encourage them to be diverse, does that, the flip side of that mean we also have to say that to the Urban Lake School?
I think it's a
too?
message that.
And I don't know what their staff
I think
is or.
I think it's a message that, certainly can talk to Dr. Lane about this, but certainly a message that should be imparted to all charters.
Okay, thank you. What I was going to say before I got caught up in Dr. Hawley's thought, Dr. Lippert, the 3 books the 3 tabs that we have to purchase books. I know they're under Carol Barone Martin's name, but I didn't know why that kind of confused me. But, so either you can jump in, but part of me feels in reading these tabs that the students are going to be given the books, not that we're going to purchase them for all their use and keep them. Which is accurate? Because this is $250,000. Are we buying the books and keeping them?
Well, what happens, we want students to take books home to read at home, but at the end of the year, or I should say, when they've completed their reading, they submit the book back to us, and then we recycle it for, the next class of students that rise. But, we don't buy a class set, and the only time that kids can actually have the book is while they're in third period class. That's not what we do. We buy enough, one copy per student, so that they can take it home, read, bring it back to school, and do the work when we're in the unit that is focusing on that novel or book.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure the way these were worded, and I just thought for $250,000, I didn't want to see it be an annual expense we had. So that's great. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sumter.
You're welcome, Mrs. Azuda. Mr. Eisler.
Thanks, Mr. Sumter. Let me commend you on the novels. I do not disagree with Mrs. Azuda, but I would really love to see students be able to be given these books. But I think it's very clear where it says each student will receive a copy of the novel for using during the unit, meaning they only get it at that time. But they do get to take it home. And I just as a point of interest, and especially for people who are paying for these books, what percentage of these books do you use from year to year? And what I'm trying to get across is how many books are either not returned or end up unusable for any reason. Do you have an idea? Is it high?
I would typically have, I do not think it's high, simply because typically school principals do not ask us for replacement costs. They're site-based budgets, which are very, very tightly managed with just filling their staff positions. They don't come to us and say, we don't have enough algebra books or we don't have enough novels. In cases where they have, increased enrollment in another school might have decreased enrollment, what we try to do is work with our principals. So rather than buying books, we try to move books where there's excess. That's how we try to keep the cost down and not ask schools to incur costs. Now, sometimes, schools bear the burden if they don't have good textbook return policies. Students take books home and then don't bring them back. The school site-based budget takes the responsibility to replace those. Once they know that we don't have the funds to do that at center office, they typically tighten down and put some pretty nice procedures in place to make sure their shrinkage is small.
I ask that for two reasons. One, I would love to see students have their own copies of books, especially the novels, which we're talking about changing, reading actual novels and real fiction and nonfiction for the Common Cores. But I also ask that because I think a lot of people are under the misapprehension that students do not respect school property. And I do not think that is a fact, correct? I mean, from what you said, we do not have that much slippage, as they say in the retail world, right?
Principals are not asking me to replace
Thank
books, so
you.
I would assume what you're.
So one of the things that we do teach our students is respect for other people's property, including the schools. Thank you. I mean, just Mrs. Azuda just triggered that. I also, somebody who voted on the original charter for the environmental charter school, and I think that we do ask all the charters. I think we know that some of the charters reflect the population of the Pittsburgh Public Schools better than others. A lot of people live in an urban area because they value and want diversity, as Dr. Hawley said. And I know, Mr. Weiss, that it's not a condition for either accepting or denying a charter, but I do agree with you, and especially since Dr. Lane is starting to meet with the charter schools and visiting charter schools, hopefully without appointments, since she doesn't need appointments in her own schools, and they are her schools also. I think it would be wonderful if we would encourage them all to do whatever they can to have diversity. And it isn't, I mean, it's wonderful that they're hiring African-American teachers and or administrators, but even if they have lotteries, they have to get enough people in the lotteries where it's going to make a difference. So I think there may be things that we can suggest to them if they're open, and not just this charter, but all the charters if this is an issue, because it shouldn't be an issue. Charters are designed, under my understanding, to help the public schools, not to work against them. So anything we can do to encourage the charters to work with us, I think would be great. Again, in a question to Ms. Baer that I asked earlier, there are items in here where we are seeing, again, the result of a 5% cut in federal money, which is part of the sequestration, which is hurting our students, correct? And these are the other two that complemented what you talked about. And I have one other question and or comment, and it has to do with the number 16, which is the Board of Directors of the School District of Pittsburgh authorizes its proper officers to amend number 11. Is this an increase, a decrease in dollars, or an extension of the time allotted to complete the work? Dr. Rudiak is not here. I'm just wondering.
Can you just restate your question, please?
Yes, I'd be happy to. I'm trying to determine, Dr. Lippert, is that a test of my memory or not? Short term. That the Board of Directors of the School District of Pittsburgh authorizes proper officers to amend item number 22, Title I, non-public Allegheny. No, I'm sorry, that's not it. I take it back. It's number 16, resolved that the Board of Directors of the School District of Pittsburgh authorizes its proper officers to amend number 11, which is a consultant for contracted services. Are we amending this because we need additional money to complete this task, or do we need additional time to complete this task?
So we need both. So we need the additional time, and that will cost us more money. It's well worth it. I'm not sure if everybody received the product of this good work, where we are actually looking at, where we're doing teaching and learning surveys. We're actually taking that information and turning it into action, and really nice publication just came out about promising practices through this work.
And I again, when we do amendments, if we could just so state it maybe a little clearer when we're reading these tabs, as opposed to trying to go back and forth to determine. It's not meant as a criticism, only a suggestion, because sometimes it is time, and sometimes it is dollars, and sometimes it is both. So thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. French. Thank you, Mr. Sumter.
You're welcome, Mr. Eisler. Mrs. Fink.
A couple of things. On the charter school renewal, I think when the playing field is level, I may have a different opinion of charter schools, but they haven't come forth, to my knowledge, with any pertinent information that would help us to do a better job of educating children. When their teachers all must be certified, you know, you can know a tremendous amount about science, but if you never studied pedagogy, you may not know how to transfer that knowledge to your pupils. Teaching in itself is an art, and if you aren't versed in it, then all the knowledge in the world isn't going to make you be able to impart that knowledge to your students effectively. So when we get some level financial situations, we get more level playing fields on charter rules, then maybe I'll look at them differently, but at this point I can't and I won't. The other thing I wanted to ask about is item number 13, which is to basically do a flip-flop on the math programs. I have had a long-standing dislike of everyday math. I know it's had several revisions. I know this, I don't know what iteration this is, but it's got to be quite a few by now. I just, because of the way that program spiraled and the lack of repetition, and I just had so many problems with that as an everyday math curriculum. And I don't know if it's improved enough that I would feel comfortable. I mean, so it aligns to the Common Core state standards. Well, who picked them? You know, the people that sold us everyday math? I mean, come on. So I'm not comfortable. I'm really uncomfortable. Regina knows what I mean. And we both had our issues with that program. You know, you're going to have to show me before the legislative meeting that this has any worth to it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me try to, well, we'll try this, and if it doesn't work, then I'll get with you outside the meeting. But the Common Core state standards puts into place learning progressions that do spiral up through the grade levels. And they have three primary, we call them shifts. One's focus, one's coherency, and one's rigor. And what's really important is that historically, people define rigor as just conceptual understanding, high-level problem solving, but you didn't have the automaticity to pull quickly, procedures, skills. In other words, pick the right tools in the toolbox, right? The Common Core actually defines rigor as a three-legged stool. So we know what happens when you have a two-legged stool or a one-legged stool. It falls over, right? So in order for kids to develop rigor, and that's a fancy term for just high thinking demand, right? Brain sweat, is that you have to have fluency as one leg, which is automaticity, procedural understanding, the ability to apply the right tools, algorithms, basic skills. The second leg of the stool is actually conceptual understanding, the bigger concepts. And the third is application. If you don't have all three, your stool's going to fall over, and you're not going to be a strong mathematician, right? And be able to actually do those three things. So our Envision program, which we did adopt, and that stopped the math wars, that program was brought in to have a much stronger fluency, fact-based, procedural. That's still really important. It's one leg of the stool, and we need it. The other two legs are better supported by everyday math. So what you wouldn't want to do is build your core program around one leg of the stool because it's only 1/3. So we're just flip-flopping the programs. Envision is still here. It serves a very important purpose in terms of making sure students have the automaticity and the fluency, but we also want to bring more of a balance so that students also have, sorry about that, so that students also have the right tools and the teachers have the right tools to support the conceptual leg of the stool as well as the application. So I don't want you to worry. I can give you some examples if you'd like, but the best way to think about it is a three-legged stool.
Frustration can also induce rigor, only it's the kind Harry Reedshaw deals with.
Doc,
You're gonna have to show me.
thank you, Mrs. Fink. Dr. Lippert used a term, automaticity. Could you explain that?
It's what, it's the quick recall, being able to do kind of like rote. You're able to do it without thinking. So multiplication, addition, being able to pull an algorithm very quickly and not struggle with doing that.
Thank you. Mr. Brentley.
For that same number, I would love to at some point hear our educators point on that Common Core question and discussion. And as a practitioner, I'd just love to know your opinion at some later date before the meeting, of course. Number 9, happy for Greenfield. Dr. Lane, I raised this question many, many years ago. I'll continue to raise the question. While this is wonderful and this school and community are getting this wonderful experience of building the Kaboom playground, we still have to address the issue of equity. While some schools and some neighborhoods are sophisticated enough to raise the dollars and to make things happen, you still have the schools who need it but are not able to. And so the challenge for this board and the challenge for this administration is the question of equity. On my spare time, I've been trying to meet with the young lady at Allegheny Traditional Academy. I've actually tried to direct somebody or some staff to look into it. And this young lady's been trying for years. We have an elementary population there. We have a perfect spot, where we can put a playground and it just doesn't move. No follow-up, no one's moving and helping her. And so the question becomes, why this school over not Allegheny? I mean, all kids are needed, can experience it. So, I'm asking for some kind of way to find some equity as to how we do it. And remember, sometimes the difference of a clean, safe play area for students can make a difference on where a child or a parent decides to send their children. So I am asking you, and it's interesting because I understand that our staff assisted in this and helped. And so may I ask, at some point, can we have a conversation? Who's responsible here? Were you the Kaboom? Who submitted that?
Mr. Brentley, there are several Kaboom playgrounds around the district, and I was looking to see, I thought we were going to get the list of where we'd already done them, but I know for a fact, as Dr. Holly said, Lincoln got one, how long ago? Yeah.
We're the first.
Right. And so they do have it is a grant, so it does have to be pursued by someone at the school level in order to get it. But clearly, we have examples of schools that are not in high income areas or that kind of thing that have gotten this playground grant. And having seen these grants prior to this city, I can also say that some of the first grants where I worked previously also were in some of the more financially, frankly, challenged neighborhoods and schools. So I think that it is very possible for any school to work on this, but again, you have to apply for it, so it's not that we're making those decisions. The folks that actually give the grant are the ones that are making it, but we will get you a list of where they are, and maybe a little bit on what the process is, so that we can let all our schools know how they might apply and what they need to do.
Well, I mean, that would be helpful, but Doctor, I don't want you to go through that. It's not necessary. I'm aware of it because I remember a lot of them come through. I'm happy about it. My issue to you is the question of equity. If there are grants, well, then we helped out somewhere in pushing the grant or working with the community group. And I'm just trying to find some kind of way. We have now, as a district, have established a relationship with Kaboom. And so if there's a gentle way of pointing them in a direction, please have someone to contact Ms. Gialy Halley at Allegheny Traditional Academy, who's been working on it for the last 4 years. And I've pretty much came up blank with her. I met with her a couple of times. We've made calls to the district. We were supposed to have a site meeting, and it's awfully frustrating. And this woman is on a volunteer basis. You may remember her name. She is the young lady two months ago that at the recognition for board member month, she was the one, as the president, they gave me the check to give to you for the Pittsburgh Promise, the first PTO or first community group that have given a donation on behalf of their board member for the Pittsburgh Promise. And of course, their comments was, we're willing to pay for our kids' education, and which was very, very nice. So in other words, they're a part of the district. She lives practically over in the building, and she's very active with the staff and very active with the parents. And so if we can do something to kind of even this process out, I'm just only asking that the staff would do it. I've committed to, once it's moving, because that school, and I have to give props to Ms. Viola Burgess, that school every year for their Take a Father to School Day are packing hundreds of men in that building, and I've already committed to using those men when everything is approved to actually come out and to do it. So whatever it takes, or whatever staff member is responsible, will you please have a conversation with this parent who gives up a ton of time to the district?
Mr. Brentley, when you had asked the first time, I did follow up with her and hooked her up, I believe, with the Greenfield parent to how to go about this. I think there was some issue, and I'll have to go back and check because it was a while ago, I believe, with the site. So I will go back and follow up, but I believe that there was some issue with the site that they wanted to put it on. So we can follow back up and see. But she was put in touch with the people who have already gone through this, because that was what was asked about how to navigate it. So.
And I appreciate that, Doctor, and I'll move on. But the thing I just want us all to be mindful of is that while that information is being shared, keep in mind she's a volunteer, mother of 2 very active kids. And so to get around, to see how others are doing and to communicate. And you know, it is an awesome task. And so I don't know if there's a way of jump-starting the system. We know there's a need. It's an excellent location. I mean, where the school is, somewhere in that general area. I know the spot. I think I know the spot. We can find something, please. And I am committed to taking a day off. I will get you the bodies to put it in. I'll do all those things, but you know, our kids over there need the same opportunity. So I thank you though, but just keep me in the loop if you can, please. Thank you. This is the Environmental Charter School. I think 5 years ago I voted no for it because they did not have a marketing plan to actively solicit all students. It's interesting that you can have a school, a public school, when you can open up and the majority of them are just white students. But when you open up the schools in any other district here, it is almost a reflection of what the district is. And depending on who's counting, it's 55, 60, if not higher, % African American. If they, where is the committee that, she's not here.
She's not here this evening, Mr. Brentley.
Okay. Well, I asked her last time, and I don't know if she was able to provide it. Do they have a written plan, a marketing plan on how they will become an inclusive public schools? I'd like to see it and how they will actively go after African-American students, or making it very clear that they're public schools. And if that information is not provided next week, I will not support it. You cannot take public dollars and be very, very selective of who you allow to participate in the district. And it also goes for the lack of fair representation on the staff. So I won't be supporting that item unless they submit that. Oh, for the books, Doctor, can you, when we have these books before us, can you give us just a cheat brief on them ahead of time? 1 or 2 liners what the book is about. Number 2, are the books still approved by the book selection committee?
Yes, they are. They follow the process that's outlined by the board.
And do we have diversity on the committee?
We definitely strive for diversity. I'm not sure, because we had so many here, the actual makeup, but we do strive to diversity in terms of race. I can't say off the top of my head, but we do require teachers from various schools so that you have our different schools represented. We also require a parent, special education representation. So we do have diversity in terms of race and gender. I'd have to look into that.
Okay, that's very, very important. Also, are we still offering the $10 stipend for people to serve?
For parents, yes. And we also, as part of our process, we have the novels are a little bit different, but when publishers come in, they also serve dinner.
Okay. So, and that $10 is, what is it, $10 an hour for approximately, how do you determine, or based upon the time it takes them to read the book, I guess?
Yeah, well, it typically depends, depending on the number of books you're reviewing. Textbook adoptions could take minimum probably 3 days, and maximum, I think, on the math adoption, I think we were there for almost 3 weeks. So it really just depends on the level and what we're actually reviewing.
And it is a $10 stipend, is that per day, per hour?
I believe it's per hour.
Okay.
Per day? I have to go back and look at, I remember signing.
It's meant to help with transportation, childcare, if you have, it's just $10 a day.
And it's per, okay. Well, can you just take a second, Doctor, and give out your phone number for those parents who could be watching, please?
Sure. If any parent's interested in serving on any of our textbook adoption, material adoptions committee, what we typically do is, even though we're not running an active one right now, we keep your name in a pool, and any time that one comes up, we send you an email, contact you, and mail you a letter to see if you'd be interested. So our contact information, Jerry Lippert, and the number's 412-622-3655, alternate number 622-3722.
That's good. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brentley. Pittsburgh Online Academy, how is the school doing?
Well, we've learned a lot in the first year. It's not uncommon. We were a little bit surprised by the enrollment instability. If you read some information I provided ahead of time, total enrollment was 144, but we never actually had 144 students in the seats, so to speak, at the same time, and they're not the same 144 students. Our enrollment in any given month typically stabilizes at about 50. And so you have this influx back in and out of the online learning environment. So one thing that we're looking for is to really determine how, when students transition into online, to really ensure that they're successful in the online environment. One of the things that we were successful in this year is that we would have lost an additional 54 students that transferred into our school after the school year started. Versus actually, if we didn't have that option, they would have went to a cyber charter. In terms of achievement, it really depends on how long they're in there. Because of the seat time, so to speak, some students do better than others. One of the challenges that you may, we did anticipate, but is hard when you're in a totally asynchronous environment. So asynchronous means they're at home working at their own pace and the teacher kind of checks in on them, but they're not live one-on-one with the teacher on the other end. If they don't have an involved parent at home, parent might be working, for example, it's oftentimes hard to have the student actively involved in the program. So one of the things that we're really working on is improving our engagement. That's how we take attendance, is making sure that the student completes their online programming. So I would say that we have some mixed reviews, but we are positive that we learned strong lessons to make the program stronger, which is why we're recommending to the board to proceed as we suggested last year at this time, which is to pick up our 4th and 5th grade. Our 4th and 5th grade cyber charter enrollment right now is about 80 students. So we're hoping to not lose any more 4th and 5th graders and possibly attract some of those students back before they get into the middle grades.
Thank you. With our online school, we are trying to affect the culture regarding those type of educational opportunities, and that's why it's adamant to emphasize the name Pittsburgh Online Academy. And anytime we talk about going in that direction, the term online is recommended. Have we, or do we have the ability, or I guess we maybe should if we haven't, to learn from other online schools as to what techniques are used to assure attendance or assure signing on to the school and staying on? And my thinking is that anybody who's familiar with the computer world or going online, most times they get you to do what they want you to do by annoying you. Either it's repetition on warnings, or a letter comes out, or a phone call, something that gets triggered on the front end, not waiting 2 or 3 times for that to happen. And I think if you bird dog it early on, it may be an incentive, because the parents might say, why is Pittsburgh Public Schools calling here every day? We want to stop them from calling, you know, or they keep showing up on our caller ID or whatever. So whatever ways we can. I know you're probably looking into that already, but that's important, because my thinking is that it would be nice to see an analysis, not to say that we're going in that direction, that what would be the difference of cost if the majority of Pittsburgh Public Schools students were online, as opposed to traveling on buses, going out in the weather, brick and mortar, et cetera, because of the current financial situation, just to know how much of a reduction or savings it would be, because 50 years from now, 100 years from now, they may be looking back at us as how quaint they were, as we look back at the one-room schoolhouses and say, well, that was differentiated teaching to its utmost. And I'm sure that all the kids probably learned, and a lot of times when we're talking about new math programs, if the old math worked and everybody who went through it can add, subtract, multiply, and divide and do their taxes, why not continue? So A lot of times, things are new because people just want to go in different directions because it helps consultants make money or education companies. But the other thing is, whatever's tried and true, let's stick with that and move forward with it. Another question I had, Mr. Camarda, could you possibly tell us of any potential Kaboom playgrounds that are on the horizon?
There's work being done right now for a site at Weil, and there's been work already with our facilities division, and they're working to secure the funding as was done with Greenfield and raising the money, raising the volunteers and putting the process in place. And so we expect that to come forward shortly. And facilities has already worked. They've done some site, analysis already with them. I think the latest call was actually probably, I think it was last week, there was another call about Weil.
That's good to hear. Thank you very much, Mr. Camarda. Are there any items that board members would like to select for further discussion at the legislative meeting next week? Just put your hand up and mention. You'll be recognized.
I don't know if I wanted, I guess I'll have it pulled and I can talk more about it. But I wanted to answer Mrs. Azuda's question about the diversity at the charter schools. Let's be reminded that the purpose for having a charter school was because there were certain students within the school district that were not making the grade. That was the primary purpose for Imagine Schools coming in to the district. I do believe that the Urban League was actually one of your first, I didn't vote for it, was one of your first schools to open in the city as a charter school. As a matter of fact, they hired one of our former principals, who was identified by Barbara Sarsmore as one of those outstanding principals. So she actually opened up the Urban League Charter School, and they did very well for a long time. But I don't think that they ever did not go out and solicit people to, children and families to actually come to the school. They had a certain program that they were going to have, which was really Afrocentric, and I'm not sure if that, I know that it still remains the same. But the Imagine Schools, which is a for-profit organization, actually solicited this district to open up that charter school for the main reason of having students from the East End actually attend that school because some schools were not doing very well. So I just wanted to put that out there. And that's not the case. They were not able to pull those students. And as Mr. Weiss has said, and I said before, that it's going to be very difficult to change that feeder pattern now. However, I am hopeful that we would be able to do something about that. But I wanted to ask, Mrs. Fink did bring up a good question. We are supposed to be learning something from the charter schools. Are we using any of the materials or activities that they're doing in the environmental charter school within our schools, Dr. Lippert?
I wasn't directly on the Curriculum or Instructional Review Committee, so I'd have to ask our representative specifically, are there things that were overlapping? I'm not 100% sure, if they do the FOSS curriculum or what they actually do, but I can get that to you before next week.
So, Dr. Holly, would you like to have this item pulled for discussion?
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so for item number 12?
Not because I'm in disagreement, but just because we want to have more information on how we can actually use it.
And that's the purpose. Mrs. Azuda, Mr. Eisler, Mr. Brentley?
Yes, I just want to say that I reserve the right to pull any and all items for next week's legislative meeting based upon the conversation that I'll have between now and then with my constituents. So any and all items I'd love to, or reserve the right to talk about or to bring up next week.
Thank you, Mr. Brantley. Mrs. Fink?
No, I'll just question along with Dr. Holly.
So item number 12 specifically is pulled, and as needed, discussion won't be hindered on any other item if so be it. With that said, we're going to move the agenda on and move over to the Business and Finance Committee section of the report. We're going to ask Mr. Mr. Joseph and Mr. Campbell as needed to discuss the items in this section. Mr. Joseph?
Thank you, Mr. Sumter. We're in the Consultants and Contracted Services section. There are 39 items in this section. Item 1 is for the purchase of classroom furniture for the Rooney Building, which will serve as the, I believe, 5 to 8 grade span facility for the Rooney School. Item 2 is for the purchase of school intruder locks for classrooms and office doors. Item 3 is for floor and stair tread upgrades at Alderdice. Item 4 is for tennis court upgrades at Alderdice. This item it's recommended that all bids be rejected and rebid for this item. Item 5 is for ceiling fan installation at the Arlington Intermediate Campus. Item 6 is for the replacement of the multi-purpose sound system at Arsenal. Item 7 is for basement waterproofing at Fulton. Items 8 through 10 are for work associated with the new security system at Greenfield. Items 11 and 12 are for work associated with the carpet removal and terrazzo restoration in Langley. Item 13 is for the replacement of the fire alarm system at Liberty. Items 14 and 15 are for work associated with auditory seats and floor replacement at Mifflin. Item 16 is for a new sound and fire alarm system at Montessori. Item 17 is for the replacement of the auditorium sound system at Obama. Items 18 and 19 are for work associated with gym lighting, floor, ceiling, and backboard replacement at Phillips. Item 20 is for roof replacement at Schiller. Item 21 is for work associated with the installation of a backflow preventer at Schiller. It's recommended that all bids be rejected. Item 22 is for plumbing work associated with the backflow preventer at Schiller. Items 23 through 26 for work associated with restroom restorations and at Sunnyside and bleacher repairs at Oliver. It's recommended that all bids be rejected. Item 27 is for general work associated with coal hole repairs at various schools. Item 28 is also for coal hole repairs, but this is for electrical work, and it's recommended that all bids be rejected and rebid. Items 29 and 30 are for work associated with new flooring at various schools. Item 31 is for security system upgrades at various schools. Item 32 is for electrical distribution system replacement at Whittier. Item 33 is for general elevator service at various schools. Item 34 is for the maintenance of fire extinguishers and fire hoses at various schools. Item 35 is for an agreement with DataFax to provide background screening services for contractors that do outside contracts that do work with the facilities department of the district. Item 36 is for the annual contract for the district to provide food for the summer meals for the city and the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 37 is a 3-year contract with the Eric Ryan Corporation to provide auditing for our utility services, more specifically for our utility invoices. Item 38 is a contract with B3 Solutions for the creation of automated police reporting system for the school safety department. And item 39 is a contract with Sherman Hostetter for an online auction for district property.
Mr. Joseph, there's a few more items left. You're on a roll. Would you continue, please?
Oh, not a problem. Under payments authorized, we have one item. Item 40 is for daily payments. Under general authorizations, we have item 41, which is for the resolution to accept a donation from the West PA Conservancy for the addition of green space, then improved landscaping at Obama. Item 42 is a donation from David Preston Pays. Item 43 is the request for a LRTA plan for the property located on Bayard Street. Item 44 is an amendment to the contract with Garin, Rudder and Beam. And I believe we have one more item, which is item 45, which is for general fund budget transfer. It's just the end of the year cleanup transfer. Thank you, Ms. Sumter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joseph. You're welcome. I know it was a little lengthy, but it does help board members crystallize in their mind what the items are, and some questions could be answered without having to read through and get the information. So again, thank you very much. We're going to begin questioning on the consultants and contracted services. Mrs. Azuda.
Give me a minute to turn, but numbers 11 and 12, which are the carpet removal and the terrazzo restoration at Langley. Is this because it's really bad? Is this for aesthetic purposes? Is this because it's not a high school and it's a lower level grades? Why?
This is because the carpet is in desperate need of replacement at Langley.
It's bad?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And number 27 is for coal hole repairs. And is that like in the hillsides, or where is that?
When you had coal furnaces, you had that metal door in your house, and the coal truck came and poured
Yeah.
it. Well, we had
I
bigger
do
ones.
actually remember that.
Yeah, well, we had bigger ones in schools.
So
That's a
we're
coal.
closing them up?
Yes.
Is that what's
That's
in all of these? That's what both of these are?
what they are.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, thank you.
Welcome, Mrs. Azuda. Mr. Eisler.
So great to have a historian on the board. Mrs.
Younger
Fink
people
never-
don't even have a
Mrs. Fink
clue
never
that they
ceases
were all-
to amaze me.
Yeah, there was a lot of people who didn't know we ever heated schools with coal. So,
Oh, some
yeah,
of
or
us-
houses, Tom,
so-
you're
Yeah, right.
right.
Some of us appeared in this board and found out that that was a huge issue with some of our buildings.
Let me just chip in before you ask your questions. I do remember that because our house on Methil Street had the coal when I was little, but what came to my mind was those big holes under Dormont parking lot. That they just, and that was, yeah, that was what came
That's
to my mind, so
subsidence.
that's good.
Right.
Totally
That's a
different
little
thing.
different. You got it.
But that's what I didn't know, so I asked. Okay.
We're moving on. We're moving
All
on.
right,
Thank goodness
thank
you
you,
learned
Mr.
something old
Eisler.
today. I just have one question. I mean, I'd like Mr. Joseph to repeat all 36, but I won't ask him to do that. They did a great job. I have one question, and it's really to Dr. Lane, and it's on number 2, and I don't want to get into too much detail because this is really an issue that I don't necessarily think you go into a great deal of detail on, but it is one of our many efforts to make sure that our schools are secure. And do you want to talk, can you talk a little bit about that? Because we are expending almost $800,000 to make sure that our buildings are more secure for our students.
Yes, that is a purchase of a special lock that is called an intruder lock, and it would allow, in a school, the big issue is you have 2 issues of safety. One is getting out in case of fire, and we don't want a situation where kids can get locked into a space and can't get out of a building, so that is huge. And then, of course, the other one, of course, is the one we're all familiar with from recent events. And so that's why there have been locks designed specifically to address both of those issues at the same time. And this is some of our schools, I think we have, 3 that already had these locks in their school, but most of our schools do not. And this would get those installed in classrooms and offices around the district.
Thank you. I just think it's important that the public knows that we're doing everything we can to make our schools safe for our children, so thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Sumter.
You're welcome, Mr. Eisler. And Mrs. Fink.
It's just such a shame that the world has come to such violent and disturbed actions that not only do we have to do things like this, but people can't even go out and have a good time and watch a race without, and we truly need to learn to recognize and help those people who have exhibited signs of violent behavior. I think the Senate today, or the House of the Senate rejected the measure about gun control, where if you had mental issues, you would not be allowed to purchase firearms. I understand from tonight's news that was rejected. This is some horrible commentary on the way we value the people in this country, that we have to deal with this kind of thing. And there are people out there that need help to keep from going off the deep end, and we're not providing that. We're instead providing locks on doors.
Mr. Brantley.
For number 2, Mr. Joseph, and I know it mentions various schools. Can you tell me, well, number 2, and there's a couple of other items that you mentioned that it just gave a general overview of schools. Can you tell me, have you, or does it include the issue of security cameras at Allegheny? I think I pointed that out to the staff on a couple of occasions. As you know, there's Allegheny School and then there's the annex. The front office doesn't have any kind of way to know who's going in and out of the building there. And so there was a request made to have just some kind of a system, even if it's just a 4-way camera that would show who's going in, or a buzzer system. Because since the annex is a separate building, you can walk around and just open the door and go right in the building. And so I'm just asking, any of these items cover those 2 items, or are they covered in there at all?
Mr. Brantley, I'll talk with the facilities folks, and we'll get a report back on where we're at with the review of the Allegheny situation for a solution.
Okay, and then secondly, also at Allegheny, to an issue that I pointed out a couple of years ago, the auditorium, while it's used every year for graduation, I know that we have a handful of buildings that have air conditioners, but before someone collapsed in that auditorium, I'd made a request about looking into doing a study on the airflow, or is there a possibility of including some kind of air conditioning unit there? Something's wrong with the way it's structured. If you're in there for 15 minutes for graduation ceremonies or any kind of activities, especially during the summer, it's just reaches a level of just as unbearable. And so I'd asked before if someone would go over there and to check and to see if there's a possibility of looking into that, or adding some kind of fan system or air conditioning unit there. And then the final one was, you mentioned somewhere in here that there's some repairs for some PA systems. 2 years ago, I believe it was Weil. There was a ceremony at Weil, and they had to run around and they tried to borrow one because their system was broke or damaged or something. Was that Miller? Okay, the old Miller. The Miller now? Okay, yeah, it was there. Oh, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Had a packed house, parents, and the system didn't work, and they were tweaking this and trying to do this. And so if it is not included, if somebody would please look into it. And we might be able to save some costs because the schools that we've closed, there are some schools that have some of these items that if it's a possibility of rehabbing them and moving them in there, I would appreciate it. And Mr. Joseph, can you tell me a total dollar amount for this packet that we'll be voting on? And number 2, what percentage of these dollars will be going to African-American suppliers, businesses, et cetera? And it's not necessary that you do it now if you don't have it. I can get it next week.
So total overall commitments in this month's packet are that's $3,535,100, and the total EBE commitments this month that's $1,265,000 $265,552. So that's
Okay,
about 30%.
Okay, now remember, you say EBE, that covers everybody. As we mentioned before, our numbers are clearly showing where women, primarily white women, do extremely well. But minority-owned companies, African-American-owned companies, and the smaller businesses continue to struggle. So can you at some point provide?
It's about, sorry to cut you off, my apologies. It's about 22% MBE.
So 22%
Yeah,
of
minority.
the 3 million or 22% of the 1 million is minority-owned?
Well, 22% of the
Total 3 million.
total 3.5 million, yeah.
Okay, and just in dollar amounts, what does that mean?
That's about $800,000.
Okay, so this month, we will be cutting checks for $800,000 for women-owned, for African-American-owned
For
companies.
minority-owned businesses.
Okay, okay. Well, that's a little better from last month, and that's encouraging. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brentley. Dr. Holly?
Yes, I too am, I'm excited about the intruder locks being placed in our schools. When do you think, I just want to ask this question now, who's actually going to install the locks?
Right now, we have the, it's a two-phase process. This month, you have the locks. We're direct purchasing the locks. We've been able to save a considerable amount of money by not having the locks be part of the bid for installation. So next month, we have the bids out right now. You'll be approving the installer next month.
Okay.
And then we'll begin as soon as school is out, and our goal is to have them all in by the end of December.
Great, because I was just concerned, we still only have one locksmith, right, in the school district?
And I have to say, this has been a very well-managed process because our locksmiths, our operations, our maintenance team with the facilities team was a very collaborative effort because we will have to be using our locksmiths to repair and manage the locks in the future. So Mr. Patil managed a very good process in getting us to the point we are right now with the bid for with the amount for the purchase of the locks, and have been very actively involved collaboratively with the process for the bids coming forward in the award next month for the installation.
I'm glad, but again, I thought we only had one locksmith on.
We might have two.
Oh, woo. Woo, okay. Well, great. I'm glad that you got some help, that they have some help to actually put the locks in. The classroom furniture for Rooney, I'm glad to see that we're going to be moving the 5th and 6th graders out of John Morrow and putting them in the middle school and putting them into Rooney. I don't know, I cannot imagine how they are surviving with all those kids in that little building. So I am very happy to see that we're moving those children out and putting them in a nice building for the extension of the K-8 for John Morrow. And thinking about that, are you changing the name or is it going to stay the same?
That's interesting, Dr. Hawley. As I read this item, I thought, well, wait a minute, what are we calling this school? Because I don't know, for the time being, I think we're going to call it Morrow at Rooney, but I think we likely are going to have to go through a process to have you officially name it. So we'll review the policy on school naming and see what the proper procedure is to get that done.
Thank you. And with two buildings, I guess maybe I can talk to you about that later. I was just thinking about the administration for both buildings. Is it going to be one person or is it going to be two people? So that's it for me.
Thank you, Dr. Holly. I had that look. I got that look from you. I could tell. Thank you very much, Mrs. Azuda. Mr. Brentley?
Just wanted to, just a quick question. Mr. Joseph, can you also look into, I understand at one point Overbrook School had several mounting air conditioning units, and
we've removed them all before we sold the building. We used as we could in the interior spaces at the Oliver Citywide Academy building. Because of the historic nature of the building, you can't mount any of the air conditioning units on the exterior of the Oliver building.
Wow.
So we used what we could and, salvage what we were able to salvage. So
Okay.
when we sold the building, and when you go by it now, there is not one air conditioning unit left behind in that building.
Okay. And also, and I don't know which item, but you gave a general class on what you were covering. For the repair of certain security cameras, we do have some of the schools that have excellent security, the cameras, but in some cases, they're either broken, some of the cameras are either broken, or they weren't mounted properly, because I can take you where certain kids know where the dead spots are in the building. And so if that doesn't include that, if you would consider looking at that, and if you could, if you can start with Perry and just see what is going on there, and being able to do that. And also, if there is a timeline when you hope to have some of these things done, I think it would be great to announce it and to let the parents know the extra things that we're doing as a district to secure our buildings. You know, we've had a previous administration in the past who, and I know I'm going to screw it up, but he made the comment that regardless of the violence in the communities, if a child can get to our property, they're in safe grounds. And I think that's really important. And with these repairs, we can say that. You know, we know there's a lot of things we don't have control over in terms of the violence that happens in the community that spills over into our schools. But if a child gets to our property and gets into our buildings, he or she is secure until it's time to go home. And I think that says a whole lot when you can say that you can say that for 26,000 plus students and including employees. So I think it's huge to be able to say when we're finished that we as a district have completed A, B, C, and D to secure our employees and to secure our staff. And I think that would, it may provide a little bit more comfort to some of the parents who have their kids in some of our facilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brentley. I wanted to echo one comment that was made earlier, Mr. Brentley made, that wherever we can find usable equipment in our closed buildings, that we do so, because I noticed one of our recently removed buildings, the cameras have been removed. So I know that that's, you know, you're on top of that, but just to reiterate that. One other item I just wanted to bring up before we leave is that at Madison Elementary, there's a polling place there. It's a closed school, but it's a polling place, but it's an unsafe or unhealthy condition there. It's peeling paint and peeling plaster. And I would hate to think with the number of voters that come through there that we would get a lawsuit or a concern about breathing in asbestos or whatever, or somebody might just eat a piece just to get rich. You never know. So that's a real concern, and if we could address that, because we do have a primary this next month and then the general election in November. There are other schools also. Prospect was mentioned just now by Mrs. Azuda, that the same situation may exist there. But where we do have polling places and people are using those facilities, that they should be in a safe condition for them. Are there any items that board members would like to select for further discussion at next week's legislative meeting? I see no hands here, no hands here. If not, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting is adjourned.
Mrs. Sutter?
You're welcome.